right, dude. Halona.
Yeah, doggy.
Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah, man.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
This is awesome. It's good to see you.
You too, buddy.
Yeah, man. This is fun. Thanks for letting me come up here and talk and being a part of Onshore.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was with you that I talked about the idea originally.
That's right. Yeah.
On your boat going out to the Channel Islands.
Yeah.
We talked about it. I said, hey, would you watch a show about everyday surfers talking about surfing?
Yeah. I remember, man. Fuck. Oh, sorry. Shoot.
Oh, you can swear.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
swear, shit, fuck, whatever you want. It's okay. But yeah, man, we were going out to the Channel Islands to go surf, and I was like, hey, man, would you watch this show? And you're like, absolutely.
Yeah. Blue collar surfer, you know?
Yeah, totally.
That's something you can relate to, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was a fun day, too, out there. I really enjoyed that, going out to the islands there to go surf. That was super fun.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It's very lucky. Mm-hmm. Very lucky.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, hey, listen, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally, and where did you start surfing?
Originally, I'm from Hawaii, as you know. And probably started surfing there, actually. Started boogie boarding there, actually. That's where it all started, you know. Waikiki, boogie boarding. And I just started it. Yeah.
How old were you when you started?
I was like 7 or 8 or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it was mainly just going back during the summers because we moved away. And so it was just, you know, when I'd go back in the summers, you know, just boogie board all the time. And then like eventually I was like 11 or 12, and like my uncle started taking us out farther out on the reef, you know, and taking like actual longboards, you know. And that's kind of how the surfing started. So it was a very cool place to learn. Very, very lucky and fortunate to have that in my backyard, you know.
Yeah.
Going back from Oregon to Hawaii was just two coolest places, you know. So, I mean, you know, you've been there.
Yeah, man. That's it. What an incredible experience to have as a young child, to be able to go back and forth between Hawaii and Oregon.
Oh, dude, it was unreal. Yeah, so cool. I didn't realize how lucky I had it until, you know, after it was later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when your family moved full time to Oregon?
3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that, like 10 years old or something?
Yeah, 10 years old, right.
Yeah. We were in Colorado first. That was the first place we moved from Oahu, was Colorado.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
How long were you in Colorado for?
For a little while, like 5 years probably. I guess 5 to 10, 4 years old maybe, to 10 years old. Mm-hmm. And moved like mid-year 3rd grade. I was just like shock. But dude, you know, kids, we handle it and no problem, you know.
Yeah.
Like you just roll with it, you know, and whatever.
Yeah.
Meet the other kids and stuff. So
that's probably
wasn't
when
bad.
Yeah, sorry, that's probably when you and I met then, around that time, when like from like T-ball, or not T-ball, but like in baseball or something like that.
Maybe like after that, after like 5th or 6th grade, I think we started to like maybe cross paths a little bit.
Okay.
During baseball, yeah.
Baseball.
5th grade, yeah.
5th grade.
For sure.
Some heated games.
That's when we probably crossed paths. I didn't know it, but yeah. Probably were, yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
So at that point, you had your family moved full-time from Hawaii, Colorado, and then from Colorado, the journey went to Oregon.
Yeah.
How often would you go back to Hawaii to go?
Twice a year.
Twice a year?
Like, if we weren't in school, we were in Hawaii for like the entire summer. And that was back when summers were like summertime, like like 2.5 months, you know? Mm-hmm. Like that was like, and then winter break was like, I remember winter break being like, for some reason, like a month, like when I was growing up, man. So we'd be there twice a year, all the time, just living it was like a dream for a kid, you know, having that. We didn't really like realize what we had necessarily, but it was a dream for sure to go back and forth and spend that much time in Hawaii with no responsibility, like 0 responsibilities, and just go to the beach whenever you wanted. And we'd cruise around at night. My uncles would drive us around. They had nothing to do at night. And we just jump in the back of the truck. It's legal there to jump in the, ride in the back. It's so fun. Yeah. But it was such a cool, growing up there, like going back and forth. It was just so cool, coolest thing for a kid. Yeah, and Oregon's not a bad place too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
sure.
so would you say your uncle, because you mentioned him earlier, was he your primary influence to get out to the water and start
For
surfing?
Sure, yeah.
And did he have a lot of experience surfing? Was he a big surfer, or he pushed you out there?
Yeah. He was a surfer from the start, from a kid. He did a lot of other stuff. He like rode motocross and he rode horses and stuff, all that stuff, but played music and stuff. But he was a surfer, like at heart. Like that's what this is in him for sure. And so he'd take us out, and I remember like it was the coolest thing transitioning from like little shore break, Waikiki, to like going out on the reefs. It was just the coolest thing. It was just like instantly it was like, this is so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started that transition to go out into the reefs from the
shore break?
Yeah, the shore break.
I was probably like 11 or 12 or something, maybe 10 or 11. Yeah, I wasn't like super young, but I was kind of young. And yeah, it was just the coolest thing. We had like a couple family members that would go out, and like none of us were like that good, but we'd all go out, like my cousins, like my youngest uncle, we'd all go out and like just ride longboards. Longboards were kind of easy when you're a kid, you just easily stand up and they hold you, So we'd all jump out there. It was fun. It was, like I said, it was the coolest way to grow up as a kid. It was like we were in Oregon for like school, for like all responsibility, and then we'd leave for the day school got out. The next day we were on a flight, like for like a decade and a half, doing that like all the time. It was the coolest thing, yeah. And stay like till like come back like the week school starts, buy school clothes, and go to school. Just black, like head shaved, like it's just what a cool way to grow up,
Super cool.
Yeah.
So you were jumping back and forth for like the minute school would get out, you go back to Hawaii, and you'd get like all summer to surf, and you were doing that through your childhood.
All my childhood, yeah. But I mean, we wouldn't just surf. Like we were just doing everything. We were just riding bikes, running around at the park, at the beach, like cruising around the island, like fishing, like night fishing, just doing the coolest. I had so many, sister and I had so many aunts and uncles, and they're all young in like their 20s, and they didn't really like, a lot of them like didn't work full time, so it was like they were always taking us places, we were so lucky. It was so fun, such a fun childhood. Like they'd almost like fight over us to be like, yeah, we're gonna take the kids, the twins, No, I want to take the twins, Like, it was a very, very fun time for us.
Do you remember when surfing clicked for you? Was there a moment where when you were learning, or at some point in your early beginnings of surfing, that it finally just was like, oh, I get it? Like, I mean, we're always learning and we're always constantly like progressing as surfers. That's one thing that's really cool about this lifestyle and the sport. But was there a moment for you that you recall where you were like, oh?
There wasn't like a specific moment, but there was definitely like a time period when our buddy from high school, Blake, came to Ashland, and Brett came right after. We started going from Ashland, and that was like far. And so we kind of keep each other like motivated. Like I remember one time Blake was going on a surf trip, and he's like, dude, I'm gonna go on this trip. He had just moved there, and I was like, you're going on a surf trip? I'm like, he's like, yeah, he's going out like to somewhere down Central America. I was like, dude, I want to go. And this was back then when like I said, like we didn't have any responsibility. You could like someone said you could go on a trip and like it's paid for, but you got to leave in 10 minutes. I'm ready in 5. right back
Yeah.
then, you know. So,
Yeah.
So he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go on this. I'm gonna go on this trip." And I was like, "I want to go." He's like, "Cool." And so we went, and that was just like the start of it. Like living in Ashland, it didn't really matter like the distance. We were so fired up, and like we'd help each other stay motivated a little bit, you know. And we would leave at like after work at like midnight and drive to get there at like 3:30 or 4 and just sleep for an hour, and then we just surf for like 2 days. You know, we'd always stay for like a couple days, just make it like a little trip out of it, you know. We'd just be driving the coast, like crossing the border back and forth, looking for a spot where the waves are small enough to surf, you know. It was a very fun time to surf. Like very, you know, progressing. That's when I first started to like kind of like progress a little bit, I guess maybe. No, it's just so fun, you know.
So that's interesting. So for you, you really felt like then, like in your late teens, like early 20s, is when you really started to pick up the sport. Like it really started to progress for you more when you were in college.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just after maybe.
Yeah.
During, after. Yeah.
Yeah,
Towards
that's
the end. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. So all of that prior to everything in like Hawaii and stuff like that, because I know that we went a couple times in high school.
Yeah.
But we were like no clue what we
Yeah.
were doing. Wetsuits were like
I remember. Yeah.
freezing
What is a
cold.
wetsuit? Like, what are we doing out here? You can't. You're not supposed to surf in this cold water. You know.
It was
like,
freezing.
yeah.
We were just like,
It was, man. It was. We never died though.
no,
That's
no,
good.
we made it. Yeah, we
Yeah.
made it. That's cool. So you guys would do, so when you're in college in Southern Oregon, you guys would do big trips out to the coast for a couple days and just
Yeah.
make weekend runs out of it or whenever it was.
Yeah, usually it was midweek because we all had weird jobs. We all worked weekends probably, so midweek was perfect. You know, get out there midweek and stay for a few days and come back and work the busy weekend, you know. Yeah.
And where was the surf trip that you guys went to?
I think it was either Costa or Panama, I think.
One of the two.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's great.
It was fun. That's what started it for me.
How does surfing affect your day to day?
You know, I don't surf as much, you know, for sure. If I surf like twice a week, I'm pretty happy right now. But I mean, you know, it's like therapy, you know, you have to. And, like, you know, you get sick if you don't a little bit, you know. Especially being so busy now, like, you know, we're not little 18, 20-year-olds anymore with time.
Right.
You know, now our time's precious, you
Right.
know. Like, it's more precious than money, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't get to surf as much as I'd like, but I make do with a couple days a week, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the best you can. 2 days a week is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take that for sure.
For
yeah.
sure. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because just like you mentioned, you know, we just don't have the time anymore. But when we were younger and you don't have the, you know, the responsibilities that some people have and some people don't. I mean, you're pretty close to the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go a lot more.
If
But
you're a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are lucky. I don't know how lucky they are.
yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I never did.
Yeah.
Shoot, I was too, you know, I didn't have any idea how lucky we were
Yeah.
till late, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I was smart. That's good.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good. So yeah, a couple times a week you fit it in, and with your schedule and whatnot. Do you have a particular time that you enjoy to go surfing the most, or?
No, not at all. Whenever I can go, if I can get a window, I'm happy. Like, very happy. You know, not that I'm that busy, but like, you know, it's like we don't surf as much anymore, so now it's like even more precious, you know. So I'm usually just happy if I get a little window, you know, to go for a few hours or a couple hours.
And
Yeah.
what's your go-to? Do you have a go-to spot that you go to close by, or?
Not really.
Yeah.
No, the whole coast. I usually like to like drive and find a spot that's like not very crowded, and so I'll do a lot of driving. My little car. Do a lot of driving.
And do you have a like a certain type of condition that you like? That's like your favorite type of condition to surf. If you're looking for waves, like if you have that window and you get in your car and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go north. I'm gonna go south. Do you have a particular like conditions that you really enjoy out there the most, or?
Well, offshore for sure. That's it.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about it. Offshore, as
Yeah.
long as it's like there's some waves. Offshore is the shit.
Offshore, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dealing with finding the right spot with the right conditions can be challenging for sure. So, and what about your equipment these days? What are you riding?
Wide, fat, and flat. Yeah, that's about it. Except for the one the mid-sized one I've been riding. But yeah, usually just short, wide, like vessels that will just go. Like I just like getting waves. I'm not too worried about doing tricks and stuff.
Yeah. With those style of boards, it's all about quantity, right? Getting the most out of your session as possible, right? So with that type of equipment, you're gonna up the chances of getting more rides, having more fun, being more stoked, making the most out of your window. Because like you said, it's like if you only have a couple days a week, precious, 100%.
It's almost like quantity is better almost, at some point, and quality, I don't know.
Yeah, and that type of equipment really allows you to get that, and just get stoked out there and have fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So is there one board, though, in particular that you find yourself gravitating to more these days? Like I know you said you had that mid-length that you were telling me about earlier, that you were like, dude, it took you a while to get going on it, but now you really like it.
Yeah, that thing's been a blast for sure. That thing's changed surfing for me, for sure. I didn't know you could surf like that on boards like that. I never really had the chance to surf boards like that. So I was always surfing little fishes and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I didn't know you could ride a surfboard like that. Like the whole trimming, but actually pumping on a board like that, it's just the coolest thing. Like I was saying, it's like a video game. It's very fun. But what else do I surf? My friend, I know this kid who made me a board. I've known this kid for a while. The first time I moved to California, he was another friend of mine, Hatane. My friend Hatane was babysitting these kids. Like they were like young, and there's 3 of them. And this was like probably 10 years ago. And so that's how I ran into Joe. And I've just stayed in touch with. Like, he's a little surfer shaper, and I've always just stayed in touch. I always need a partner to go to the islands. I'll get on the boat or something. So I was called Joe, and he's like 22. Like when we had the time, like he could always drop what he's doing, and so he's always wants to go, So I'm always calling him and going out. But he made me a board recently, a little 20, and the thing is very fun, like phenomenal, like straight rails, like not a super deep tail, but like kind of like a smaller one. It's very fun. Yeah, that's probably like the board I surf the most.
Is that
good waves?
Is that the one that we took out to the islands?
Mm-hmm.
That one looked fun.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool that he shaped him. Did you give him sort of any like instructions for the board or anything like that, or was it all his design, or did you have any influence on it?
I just told him I wanted the rails like kind of like parallel, And then and a 20, and I think the length I told him, I think it was like 5'8" or something, and that was it. Yeah, I think it was his ninth board he ever made, and I still surf it like 4 years later. I just love it. Yeah, it's pretty funny. He always looks at it now and he just laughs because he's like, I can't believe I made that. You know, he's like, that thing looks horrible. I'm like, it looks fine and it goes fun. You know, he laughs when he sees it though. But it's a good board. I like it.
That's really cool. And does he still shape?
Oh yeah, he's shaping a lot. Yeah, he's friends with Ryan, and he's like shapes with Ryan. So those guys are the busiest shapers on the West Coast, man. I swear.
And what are their names? Give them a shout
out. Joe Yee and Ryan Lovelace.
Okay.
So I met those guys. Those were like the first guys I ever met when I moved to California. Well, Ryan and Hatane were the first guys I met when I came here. I just met them walking down the street. Like the third day I was here, I had 4 or 5 days to kill before I started my first job, and I had some time to kill. I was walking down the street and literally met them, and we just hit it off. Like, it was pretty funny how it happened. So, but yeah, so I met Joe through those guys because Hatane was babysitting Joe. So, and 8 years went by, 10 years went by, and now he's shaping boards, and he is good at what he does for sure. I'm glad he found his niche, man. It was good to see him find something that he was good at and liked, you know. So both those guys actually, yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
Those connections are truly, truly wild when they happen, and it sounds like, you know, everything lined up for a reason. You're surfing these guys' boards, and you know they're out there with you when you're surfing on the ocean. You know, that's
pretty cool.
Super cool, man.
Meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah,
for sure.
The surfing community is you know, that's the one really cool thing about that, is that surfing really brings a lot of like-mindedness together. You know, and so that's pretty cool. We share that. Those interests and that love for the ocean and for surfing.
Yeah.
And that's really cool, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, do you remember, out of curiosity, do you remember your first wave?
No.
No.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No idea.
Yeah.
It's probably on a boogie board.
Yeah.
For sure it was on a boogie board.
Is there a wave that you remember, maybe from, if it wasn't your first wave, but from back when, that really sticks out in your mind as just as burned in there?
Probably just going to like I said, when my uncle would take us out on the reef, that was probably what initially kind of got me hooked a little bit. Yeah, it was kind of scary, but kind of really fun, and felt pretty safe because he was out there. So it was a good spot to learn.
Cool. What does surfing mean to you?
Stress relief. Now, you know, exercise, I guess. It's like therapy, you know, you have to have it. If some people do, you know,
Yeah,
they have to.
Isn't that
so?
I always find that really interesting. You know, I've asked a bunch of people the same question, and I'm really interested in what it means. And so many people have this same feeling of relief, just solace, and just pure good energy. It really sort of balances out their
life.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
That's the best way to put it. It's the best way it's been put. It balances out your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, and you also mentioned workout, and I know that you exercise and stuff. But is there anything specific? Do you do any other training outside of surfing to stay in surf shape, or any things that you do outside of the water to help you when you're in the water?
I got my little garage gym. That's about it. And I got the little hill back behind our house I like to go run.
Do you find any of that stuff really like helps you out when you like doing training out, away from the water? Do you find it helps you a lot when you're out there in any particular way, like not just with like strength, but like for like conditioning of the mind or anything like that?
Yeah, all that.
Really?
All that stuff, yeah. I've been into trying to run this hill behind the house, and it's so humbling. It's like so hard for me because I'm not an endurance athlete, so it's like extra hard, and so like I know it's good for me, but I hate it. So the way I can tolerate it a little bit is put some music on and just go hit it, you know.
Yeah.
I just go slow though. I just super slow, like a pace I can maintain, like not fast at all, and like almost to like a walking pace on the steep parts, you know. I just slow down, but I don't stop, you know. I just keep going. But if I get tired, I'll just always slow down. I'll always just go real slow. But it's cool, yeah. It's been it's a total mind test, you know. That's all it is basically, is total mind test, and it's fun when you got a little music on, and you know, you can kind of like block it out. You know, you almost gotta like, really block it out, like how hard it is. At least for me, you know. So it's a good little test, you know.
Right.
Little mind exercise.
Right, and it's interesting when you said that. It made me think too. It's so challenging to do those things, right? To stay motivated and be like, I'm gonna go hit this hill right now. I'm gonna go like run up this hill, and you know, push myself. But when I get to a place that's, you know, I need to throttle back, you do.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because that's what happens when you're out in the ocean too, or before you go out to a session. If it's too big, or for your skill, or you know, if you get yourself stuck in, like, you know, we've all been in some tough situations out there. So having that mental ability to stay calm or control yourself or know your limits and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Have you found yourself in any, you know, conditions, like have you been in a spot out there that's been super challenging or like kind of sketchy?
Out here?
Or anywhere, like have you been surfing? Have you been put in a position where you're like, this is heavy?
Yeah.
And got to get out of it.
In Oregon, Hawaii, both those places like scare me sometimes, you know, very much. So yeah, absolutely.
Like the size, and like just the where you were surfing, or.
You know, the size was a factor, but like, you know, like the power of the waves in certain areas are just different than what we're around where we live now, you know.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different ocean almost. It's the same ocean but different. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, I know up in Oregon, and I'm not as familiar with surfing out in Hawaii. I've only, you know, been out there one time to surf, and I got really lucky. Got some fun ones out there.
Nice.
But I do know Oregon pretty well.
Yeah.
And it can get heavy out there.
It's scary out there, for sure.
Survival surf sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. I like these little mellow right-hand points right now, you know. Little point breaks are fun too, you know.
Yeah. Jumping back to the board, we were talking about surfboards earlier. That you know, that the all-time question, if you had one board that you could surf with you, you know, to take with you for, that's it, your one board. Any board pop out in particular?
Yeah, for sure. The one Ryan made me, the mid-length he made me. Like I said, I was never rode those things, and it's a single fin, and I just had no idea you could do the things that you can do on those boards. I just was never familiar with that type of surfing, and it's just it's very fun now. It's like I said, it's like a video game. You know, when they work in a certain like height of waves. They work in a lot actually, but you know, when there's no swell or there's not a little bit of swell, you can just get these little little racetracks, you know, these little points down south. You can just get these little racetracks, and it's like the funnest, like knee to thigh to waist to stomach high waves you'll ever surf. Like you had no idea that waves like that could be fun on this board. And then it's a fun board when it gets good too, you know. Absolutely. But I usually surf like a fish or something when it gets good. Yeah. But when it's small, it's a very fun board. Yeah.
It sounds like a board like that would be something that you would definitely want to, you know, that would hook you in, and you would just be like, this is it. If I had one, I would take this, because it sounds like it just performs well in so many different types of conditions.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Have there been any surfers that have really influenced you along your journey? And if so, are there any surfers or one person in particular, not necessarily a professional surfer, but someone in particular that you really enjoy their style, or something that you would want to, that you've never surfed with, that if you could go out for a session to go surf with?
Well, yeah, the first part of the question about someone influencing me the most, probably my uncle. I'd have to say, without question.
Right.
He's the whole reason why it all started. And then as far as like wanting to surf with somebody, probably just him, probably my uncle. Yeah. We haven't surfed for a while, and he's in his 50s now, and he still surfs, but I haven't been back for a couple of years, and I just love surfing with him. He's like, that's where it all started. I love it. It's so cool being out there with him. Absolutely. Watching him get good ones in his 50s, you know. It's very neat to see. Yeah.
That'll be us sooner than later in
I
our
know,
50s.
Man, yeah. I know. We got to never stop moving, man.
That's it. Yeah. Never stop moving. So, surfing is now the official sport of the state of California. Do you have any take on that, or no?
I've never even thought about it.
Okay. Yeah. Just curious. Curious.
Yeah, I never thought about it. It seems like it's the official sport for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to think of, you know, just having that recognition to a sport that's something that we've always done, and then having the states, recognize that. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
So,
it's getting popular.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a super, super popular sport. So along those lines of, you were talking about, going out and spending time in the water and all of those things. Can you describe what the ocean means to you?
It means a lot, obviously. It's like we live 10 minutes from it. We're there a lot with the kids. There a lot on my days off. All year, it surrounds our lifestyle. The wife loves being at the ocean. It's not too cold out. The kids love it. Yeah, that's our life. For the most part, we spend a lot of time. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool that now that you spent so much time in the ocean growing up as a kid, going back and forth from Oregon to Hawaii, and now you're in Southern California, and now you're passing on that knowledge and that stoke that you found as a kid to your kids. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's like...
very neat, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the pinnacle, yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. Have the girls gotten out there at all? Have you been pushing them in? Or?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. They're still tread very lightly, Gotta be very careful to not scare them out of the water. Tread very lightly, We start them out in the shore break and start them duck diving waves just with no board, getting under the water, and we've taken them out on the longboards and stuff a little bit too. So the waves they did get, they had a blast for sure, But they're still little girls, and so they're real, like I said, like to tread lightly. Yeah. Yeah,
100%. Well, then the new tradition then moving forward is taking them to the islands every summer on their summer break, and then they can get the warm water. You can surf with your uncle.
Ooh,
and you can drive around and go fishing, and they'll get that same stoke that you did when you were a kid.
Taste. Yeah. A little taste of my sister and I got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. This has been super fun.
Yeah.
Talking about surfing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I'm in a lot of the same positions that you are as far as time and responsibilities of a family and all of those things. And I feel so similar in a lot of ways, man. I don't have a particular, obviously, the conditions are usually better in the morning, but if that's not my window,
it's not your window. Yeah, you got to go during your window.
Yeah, you got to go during your window.
Yeah.
And you just got to take advantage of those opportunities when you get them, because they're not as much as they used to be. Yeah. And I'm just like you, though. I've gone from, although I was never a high performance surfer at all, more down the line, but my boards, the volume has increased. I haven't been surfing in mid-length. I've never surfed one of those full time. I really gotta, now that we've had this conversation, I'm like,
don't start.
Dude,
yeah.
Open
up another can of worms for sure. Like, nah. You get the right board though, like I said, I was never into mid-lengths, but you get the right one that you click with, and I've just had a blast on mine for sure.
And that's what it's all about. The thing that I love about surfing so much too is trying those new experiences, because it just opens up your mind to so much. Like I remember the first time I surfed, we were surfing out here at C Street, and you had that new sweet potato.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, have you surfed one of these? And I was like, no, I've never surfed one of these. And you're like, you took the leash off, and you're like, here, surf this. And I caught one it was like a 5'2" sweet potato, and I caught one out at C Street, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
This thing's fucking awesome.
Board catches waves, and it's short. And
fully so it's those types of experiences, I think, and trying those new setups that are really important, and they keep the sport fresh. They keep it. It keeps it invigorating and just really fun moving forward. So I'm definitely going to start surfing one of these mid-lengths. I got to pick one up.
Use mine, man.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Okay, I'm taking
Take it with you. Yeah. Just bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, again, that's a good timer for us right there. Oh, that's all right. But again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out and jumping on Onshore with me and talking about surfing. This is a great opportunity to, get engaged with you a little bit more outside of the water and talk about, the beginnings, and it's been super fun.
Yeah, man.
Super fun.
Always. Always, man.
Thanks, Lonnie. I appreciate it, dog.
Yeah, buddy.
That's it, man. Hey, dog.